Zaldrizes buzdaris gosdau.
There is a, I guess 7 in 10, 70% of the people that watch me here on YouTube aren't subscribed. If you're one of those people, please subscribe. In this video, I'm going to be talking about some information that I digged up from the Props podcast and also some more casting and some hot tea news. In the process of filming this, there may be something that comes out, and if that's the case, well, then this video will be a lot longer than I think it will. Please do me a massive favor. Slap a like on this video. Like goal is going to be 420. And also, this is the most important thing you could ever do for my channel. Just subscribe if you're one of those people who haven't subscribed yet, but you're watching my content. If you don't do any of that, well, thank you for looking at this video. Along that, and a super special shout out to Breanne Johnson, the Northwest member, and Tyler Schnabel. They are all executive producers of this video over on patreon.com/SirHuntsReviews. Okay, so first things first, there's several things that were mentioned in the process of listening. I'm sorry. There are several things that are mentioned about House of the Dragon that if you're a fan of, go listen to the whole thing. This video would be like 45 minutes if I talked about everything they discussed in the podcast. If you're unaware, it's a podcast with Ryan Condal, the creator of House of the Dragon, alongside George R. Martin. George has actually been a guest on this podcast. But the two hosts are Ryan Condal and this other dude named Dave Mandel, who worked on, if I'm not mistaken, all of Seinfeld. So that's amazing. And he's obviously doing White House Plumbers, and then he's worked on Veep, all with HBO. He's Ryan's buddy. They collect props. But they had the prop master, right, on from House of the Dragon, right? So there's several things, like I said, that if you're a big fan of the show, you want to go watch. I'll try to summarize the most interesting bits here, but this video would be really long, right? So one of the big things that was revealed was about 45 minutes through the podcast. Ellie mentioned, who's the prop master, mentioned that she came up with the idea for the incubator, the egg incubator. She literally was like, just in a meeting, it was like, hey, how about we use this, right? So that's really cool. But some actual like lore revealed for season 2. There was two things. The first one was kind of like, I know I'm not the only one who theorized this, but we sort of knew it was something, right? So the dragon glass daggers that the dragon keepers wear around their waist is used for something very specific. Ryan didn't reveal what the actual details of what that knife is used for, but just understand they work in twos like the Sith. Like the Sith, there's always a master and apprentice, right, in Star Wars. And in dragon keepers, there's always an acolyte, in someone who's actually like full on in the order, the older man who we saw teaching the younger man how to tame the dragons. They also have these long shepherd staffs, which is something that Ellie also came up with. She modeled them after like Mongolian shepherds, but basically that's the sort of keep the dragons back and at bay, right? Sort of kind of corral them because you don't want to hit something that big, was the exact words they used. So the actual lore bit was that knife is going to be revealed to be used for something very specific in the dragon order that the acolytes must do in order to become masters, to move on from their apprenticeship, right? So that's really cool. So my opinion, David Mandel kind of guessed, right? Right when they mentioned what the knife was used for, but it just makes sense, right? That dragon glass, in my opinion, is used to cut somewhere. So David Mandel in the podcast, Ryan's co-host, mentioned that it was probably used to cut a dragon birthing sac. Really original idea. I like that. I feel like it's used in the same way. Remember, we saw Daemon and Rhaenyra at their wedding. They use a piece of dragon glass to cut their lip, cut their hands, and they're bound in blood. Same with the dragon glass for the dragon keepers. They cut themselves and bind themselves to the dragon, and maybe there's some sort of like burned man ritual, right? So at the end of the story, Nettles dragon, sheep stealer, and Nettles, right, they go off and live in the mountains of the Vale. In this mountain clan, they're sort of like wildlings that are south of the wall, right? They discover her and they worship her. And one of the ways they would test their bravery is by go and try and pet her dragon, and she would burn. Sheep stealer would burn a piece of these men, right, these mountain clan men, and they became known as the Burn Men. And one of the ways they test their bravery is by putting their hand or their arm in a fire to burn it. Obviously, Sheep Stealer and Nettles are dead now because it's 300 AC in the main storyline, but there's some characters that Tyrion runs into in a Game of Thrones, right? Timett, son of Timett, is one of the Burnman clans, and he burned out his fucking eye. He stuck a hot skewer poker in his eye, and that was like his test of bravery, right? So getting way back on track here, I feel like that knife is used for something similar in a situation like that, meaning basically the Dragon Keeper tests their bravery by cutting themselves and then maybe petting a dragon, allowing it to sense blood, and then something like that. I don't know. Let me know what you all think down below in the comment section. And then another thing that was mentioned, and this is the actual season 2 reveal, or like information that we could speculate on. Ellie has been, as at least the prop master, has been doing massive amounts of research on rat traps. She specifically said there's this dude on YouTube who makes rat trap videos from medieval times, and he's got like 1.5 million followers, and she watched hours and hours of his content to get historically accurate rat traps. So that's amazing. You're thinking like, rat traps, what the hell? Well, it's for this dude named Cheese. Cheese from Blood and Cheese are tasked by Daemon and Canon with sneaking into the Red Keep and going to go murder King Aegon II's heir, right? They're tasked with sneaking in to the Red Keep, and it's specifically mentioned that they can't get into Maegor's Holdfast, so they instead sneak into the chambers in which Aegon's wife, right, get this, Helena, is sleeping with her children. So initially, they wake her up and they make her choose. They're like, yo, which one of your children do you want to die, right? She, well, she's autistic on the TV show, so it's going to be really terrible and horrible to watch. But in the books, she chooses her younger son, Maelor, thinking that Maelor doesn't know what's going on, and if they killed him, he would be, like, unaware of it, right? Like, he wouldn't know what was happening, and, you know, that was her choice. But instead of doing that, they get Maelor, and they say, you hear that, boy? Your mama wants you dead. And then they strike off Jaehaerys' head. Right? Then they take Jaehaerys' head in a sack and they try to escape the city. A couple days later, blood is found trying to leave one of the 7 gates of King's Landing with Jaehaerys' head in a sack. Blood and Cheese are never found. Oh, I'm sorry, Cheese is never found, right? Mysaria is punished for her crimes much, much later. But initially, everybody assumes that Cheese probably gets away. But what's probably going to happen, and this is actually referenced in... Sorry, I had to make myself bigger. It's referenced in the main A Song of Ice and Fire books as sort of like this thing. When Tyrion escapes, after he shoots a crossbow bolt through his father's tummy when he's on the privy in the middle of the night, he has to escape. And when he escapes, he goes through the tunnels underneath the Red Keep. The same tunnels that are used by Blood and Cheese to sneak in to go and kill Jaehaerys, right? So, Jaime, who helps Tyrion escape, has to pretend to actually do diligence because Cersei doesn't know that Jaime helped Tyrion escape. So, in this process, they find a bag of gold with Viserys' face on it. Viserys from House of the Dragon, King Viserys I. His face are on these gold coins, and they're sort of buried, right? So, the idea is that Cheese doesn't escape. Cheese gets lost in the tunnels underneath the Red Keep and dies down there. And that sack of gold is found 170 years later in the main storyline. So this is exciting. Speaking of Cheese, we have a casting. And it's being reported online that this dude, Mark Hubbard, is going to be the one playing Cheese. Now, we saw an audition for Charlie C., Cheese or whatever that was leaked online. Not even leaked, it was made public on damn Vimeo. But this is the dude who got the role, and that's dope because he does kind of look like the person who was auditioning for the role. And you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, maybe this is the dude that was auditioning for the role, although I doubt it. Alright, well, I want to thank you all so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. It's really exciting. House of the Dragon is in full effect. We got some more images of the set that's being built at Leavesden. Looks amazing. I showed those in the videos from a few days ago. It's just a wider shot of it. Please slap a like on it and make sure you subscribe. Along that,